Hello everybody and welcome back to another Path of Exile 1 video. Today, by popular request, we're going to be doing the video guide for the 40 out of 40 challenges in patch 3.27 Keepers of the Flame League. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, Path of Exile 1 has seasonal content. We call this Leagues, and in Leagues you get access to a set of 40 tasks. Now, some of these tasks are super easy, like beating the campaign, and others are super hard, like reaching level 100 or beating the Uber Pinnacle bosses. So you might be wondering why I want to do these tasks or challenges in the first place. Well, not only is it a great way for you to learn and experience what the game has to offer, but you're also going to be making progress towards a microtransaction armor set that is available in both versions of the game. I have it equipped on my character right now. This is the Keeper of the Flame armor set. Alright, for reaching 12 challenges complete, you get the boots. For 20, you get the gloves. For 28, you get the body armor. And for 36, you get the helmet. And for finishing all 40 challenges, you'll also receive a decorative totem pole that you can place in your hideout. I'm going to show you that in just a second. So, here's what the armor set looks like. It comes in two tiers. Right, tier 1 is the more grounded version. It has no particle effects. Let's do the swap super quick. Right, so this is what it looks like. You can see it here, a little twirl for you. And then, of course, what I had equipped before is the tier 2 version, and this has the purple breach particle effects, which I think looks a little bit nicer. Right, so here it is. Either way you cut it, it is a very grounded set. It's not flashy. It does look a little bit better in Path of Exile 2. I'll show you guys that super quick. But no matter the case, any microtransaction that I don't have to pay for is always welcome in my books. And now we're in my hideout, it's time for me to show you my pole. I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit because it is quite big. So there it is in the corner in all of its golden glory. I use it to light up the darker parts of my hideout. It's got a nice golden hue to it. If I walk a little bit closer, it's going to have a golden bird on top. So that is the ornament you get for finishing all 40 of the challenges. Right, if you only get partial completion, it'll fill up little by little. Right, and then the flag on the totem pole is going to be reminiscent of the league in which you got the trophy for. So in this case, we have the Keepers of the Flame logo. Kind of looks like a nose. Right, very nice. Just don't ask Sirius what he thinks about our trophy.
How boring and small.
And before we get started, guys, I want to ask you to look at the description down below. That's where you're going to find the timestamps for the video. It's going to be a long one, and I sure as hell ain't watching all of it. And with that said, let's get started, guys. First up, we have a handful of very easy to complete campaign-related challenges. This is going to be Act Adversaries 1. You have to finish the first 5 acts. Then we have Regretful Requests. This involves you doing a couple of optional quests, usually for passive refund points. A Dirty Job can be completed in the Fetid Pool of Act 1. Fallen from Grace can be completed in the Twilight Strand of Act 6. Fastest Fortuna can be completed in the Foothills of Act 9, and No Love for Old Ghosts can be completed in the Ossuary of Act 10. With those optional quests done, we have to do Act Adversaries 2, which means finishing Acts 6 through 10. With the campaign bosses out of the way, we're going to want to do Helpful Hideaways next. This involves you visiting each of the following areas: Aspirant's Plaza in Act 3, the Menagerie in Act 2 through Einhar, the Mine Encampment in Act 4 through Nico, the Forbidden Sanctum in Act 10 through Divinia, King's March in Act 6 through Faustus, and the Rogue Arbor in Act 6, where you can use the Rogue marker to open a portal to the Rogue Arbor. Next up, we have Beginner's Basics. This is going to involve you to do some very simple tasks. First of all, we have to defeat an Act boss. Next, we have to use a Scroll of Wisdom. And then we want to equip a magic flask. And last but not least, we need an equipment in every slot, which you should have by now if you are finishing the Act 1 campaign. Up next, we have a challenge that is related to the Keepers of the Flame League mechanic. You're going to have to equip yourself a graft. You should be able to do this as early as the mud flats in Act 1. So here it is. We'll put a graft on. And then next, we're going to have to do a Hiveborn encounter, which of course you will also see in mud flats. Here's me doing one in a map.
Return to your barren world! Oh, Rick!
And last but not least, we need to visit the Monastery of the Keepers. That's where you're going to find Aelith, and you're also going to find the Genesis Tree, which you can use for the Breach 2.0 mechanic. Next up, we have Peddler's Produce number 1. This involves you gathering a handful of items and selling them to any NPC vendor to get back an item in return. So first off, we have to do an Armorer Scrap. For this, you need an armor item, and then you're going to use Armorer Scrap on it to get it to 20% quality. Then we're going to do the same thing for a weapon with the Blacksmith's Whetstones. And then we're going to do the same thing with the Glass Blower's Baubles and a Flask. And then we're going to do the same thing with a Gem Cutter's Prism and a Gem. Take all these items and we're going to vendor it to the NPC. 20% armor is going to give us back an Armorer Scrap. 20% weapon is going to give us back a Blacksmith Whetstone. 20% flask is going to give us back a Glass Blower's Bauble. 20% gem is going to give us back a Gem Cutter's Prism. Alright, and we can click accept. That should get your challenge complete. And if getting each of those items is too difficult for you, especially something like the flask or the gem, 20 Gem Cutter's Prisms is a lot to use on a gem, you can instead vendor any combination of the items that add up to 40% quality. So here I have 4 gems with 10% quality each. I'll put them into the vendor, and as soon as that hits 40, you'll see here that I get a Gem Cutter's Prism back. Next up, we have Insidious Invaders. Now, this is a challenge related to the Keepers of the Flame League mechanic. We have to kill a total of 50 rare Hiveborn monsters. We have to complete 10 Hive encounters. I believe that is the one where you have to sit in the center and defend Aelith from waves of monsters. And then we also have to do 5 unstable Breach encounters. This is reminiscent of the old Breach mechanic where you stand in a circle and kill monsters. Next up, we have additional assets. Now, this is going to have you doing any 3 of the following league mechanics for a total of 30 times each. If you're brand new to the game and you don't know where to find or how to get these mechanics to show up in your maps, you can go to your atlas once you are in the end game, and you can take these 3 nodes, okay? You can take Twice Tempted to make sure your maps has an additional strongbox. You can take Prolific Essence to make sure your maps have an additional essence monster, and you can take Supplication to make sure that your maps contain an additional shrine. So once you have those 3 nodes taken, you can run 30 maps and you should be able to get the essences, strongbox, and shrines complete. But let's be honest, guys, if you've completed the campaign or if you've been doing a little bit of mapping before watching this video, you probably have some of these encounters partially complete. Next up, we have Core Campaigns. This one is very similar to the challenge we just completed. It's going to have you doing 5 of the following League mechanic encounters for a total specified number of times. The number of times you have to do it depends on what League mechanic you choose. I'm going to pick the 3 easiest ones for you guys that I did, and that's going to be completing Abyss, completing Legion encounters, and completing Ore Deposit encounters. This is going to require you to have a little bit of chaos to spend on Scarabs and the map device. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on a map with a nice tile set, something like dunes, glaciers, strand, anything where you won't have to look for the League mechanic. Then we're going to spend some currency on 3 Legion Scarabs. So this is going to guarantee the Legion encounter in our maps. Then we're going to spend some money on 2 Kelgoran Scarabs. This is going to guarantee that the Kelgoran ore deposits spawn in your maps. Lastly, we're going to pick the Abyss map device option. I think this costs 3 chaos, and it's going to put 2 abysses into your maps. Right now that we're in the map, we're going to be looking for the Kelgoran ore deposits, the Abyss, and the Legion Monolith encounter. So for the ore deposits, usually you just have to click it, kill the monsters that spawn, and that will be 1 encounter complete. For the Legion Monolith, you don't have to full complete the encounter, you just have to wait for the time to tick down at the top there. You don't even have to stand near it, so you can go look for your Abyss while you wait for the timer to tick down. Abyss is going to be the most annoying one. You have to follow the little green dot on your minimap until it finishes and turns into a chest. Alright, so here is the Abyssal Trove. You'll know that the Abyssal encounter is complete when you find that Abyss chest, okay? So the reason I picked Abyss, Legion, and Settlers for this challenge is because you can do multiple of these encounters in each map. Some of the other ones, like Expedition, is limited to 1 encounter per map, and that's going to take you 30 maps to do. If you're doing it this way, you can do a bunch in 1 map. The only thing I want to warn you about is that we're doing 2 Abyss encounters, 3 Legion encounters and 2 Kelgoran encounters, so one of them is going to hit 30 faster than the others. Just make sure to remove the Scarab for that one when it is done. Next up, we have Mighty Missions, which is going to have you complete any 2 of the following master encounters in red or purple tier maps. So that's going to be your T16, T17 end game content. You're going to have to choose from doing Nico for Self-Fight and Delve, Einhar for Bestiary, Jun for Betrayal, or Alva for Incursions. Alright, the 2 that I recommend you to do that are the easiest to do is going to be Nico for Self-Fight and Einhar for Bestiary. Easiest way to get them into your map is to use the Bestiary Scarab and to use the Self-Fight Scarab. Alright, so let's go ahead and put that in. Okay, for the Nico Self-Fight, you just have to click on the Self-Fight veins, and that is, will get your master mission complete. Alright, there's 3 of them in each map. And then for Bestiary, Einhar will spawn. You'll see these little beast indicators on your map. The yellow ones are easier to kill. The red ones are a little bit harder. So you're just going to go around the map and make sure you kill or let Einhar capture all of those beasts. Okay, usually there's only 6 or 7 beasts in a map. So it's very simple to do if you are just clearing your map. Or if you just want to focus on these mission encounters, you can always leave the map right after. That'll help you complete the missions and challenge faster, okay? So if you're getting one of these done in about 1 minute, you can have this challenge complete in half an hour. Or what I'd recommend is if you're doing some sort of mapping strat, you can just swap out the scarabs you normally use for the Self-Fight and the Bestiary Scarab, and then you're just going to complete it naturally as you play the game and do your endgame mapping strats. Next up, we have Generous Gifts. Now, this is another challenge related to the Keepers of the Flame League mechanic. You're going to have to go to the monastery, and you're going to go to the Genesis tree. There, you have to grow the following type of womb gifts while they are at least item level 78 or higher, and you have to do that 10 times for each type of gift. So in my inventory, I have 1 of each gift. So the Ancient is going to birth you a unique item. So let's go ahead and do that real quick.
She will soon bear fruit.
Very nice. Alright, and then the Growing Womb gift is going to birth you a graft. Alright, I'll look at those later. Then we have the Lavish Womb gift, which is going to birth you some currency.
She is pleased.
And then we have the Provisioning Womb gift, which is going to birth you some items. And then lastly, we have the Mysterious Womb gift, which is going to birth you something completely
The
random.
Genesis tree accepts your offering.
Alright, something I didn't mention is that in order to find those gifts, you have to do the Keepers of the Flame mechanic in your maps. But if you don't want to find them yourself, you can always buy it off of other players using asynchronous trade. Just make sure that you have the miscellaneous category set to item level 83. Some of these are going to be expensive, like the Ancient Womb gift is almost 20 chaos per. And some of them are going to be dirt cheap. So if we look at the Growing Womb gift, that is only 1 chaos each. Right? So doing all of that 10 times for each of the different womb gifts is going to get this challenge complete. Next up, we have a super straightforward challenge for you to complete, and that is Parallel Pathing. Now, this involves unlocking all 3 of your Atlas passive trees. When you get to the end game, you're going to unlock your first one for free, and then you're going to have to progress through your Atlas to get Atlas passive trees number 2 and 3. So you'll see that here in this drop-down menu. I have 1, 2, and 3. All right, for the second one, you need 50 bonus objectives complete, and for the third one, you need 100 bonus objectives complete. All right, and bonus objectives is basically just Atlas progression. You get points to spend on your tree by completing these maps and their bonus objectives, and in doing so, you'll also unlock your other trees. Next up, we have Cunning Crafts, which is going to have you using one of each of the following currency items on your gear. So we have some really cheap currency items like the Orb of Transmutation, and then we have some more expensive ones like the Divine Orb, okay? So this one's pretty straightforward. Using the crafting bench options also counts for these challenges. For example, if I wanted to add increased damage over time to a piece of equipment, that would consider the Use a Chaos Orb part of this challenge complete. Okay, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of a tip later on when we get to one of the other challenges on how to get the Divine Orb using Betrayal, right? This means that you don't have to spend your own Divine Orb if you don't have that currency available, okay? So stay tuned for that one, but very easy. Use these currencies and items. Challenge complete. Next up, we have another easy challenge. This is called Potent Pantheons. For this, you need to fully upgrade 1 major and 3 minor Pantheon powers. So I believe if you press Y, it's going to be the hotkey to open up your Pantheons. You unlock the major Pantheons by killing the Act bosses for the campaign, and you unlock the minor Pantheons for doing some of the campaign quests. A few of them might be optional for skill points, so something like Soul of Shikari, you do have to go out of your way to do that. So to fully upgrade your Pantheon, what you need to do is you need a Divine Vessel, and you need a map with the specific boss that spawns for that Pantheon. For example, if I want to do Soul of Yugal, alright, this is my minor Pantheon, I need a courtyard map to fight the Oriaths of Vigil. So I'll put the map, I'll put in the Divine Vessel. Doesn't matter what tier or mods are on the map, all that matters is that you go in and you kill the boss. Alright, so let's go in and do that. Alright, we've arrived at the map boss, so I'm just going to go here, kill them super quick. And then if we port back to town and look in our map device, we should have a filled Divine Vessel waiting for us in our map device. So let's go ahead and take that out. Alright, I'll open up the Pantheon once again. So this was our Soul of Yugal Minor Pantheon. You just have to right-click on it to consume it, and then your Pantheon will be upgraded. Alright, so to finish the challenge, you just need to do that for a total of 3 minor Pantheons and 1 major Pantheon, and Potent Pantheons will be complete. Next up, we have Legendary Leagues, and this is going to be a little bit more challenging. It requires you to complete any of the 4 following encounters while the area level is 81 or higher. Right? You can choose any of these that you are comfortable with. What I recommend you to do is going to be logbooks with 10 remnants or more active, tier 4 harvest seeds, and then the claim rewards from rare maps successfully completed by your Atlas runners. Right? I'm going to go through and show you how to do each one of these. We're going to start with the tier 4 harvest seeds. So to farm your tier 4 harvest seeds, it involves us doing the harvest mechanic. All right, first thing we need is a harvest scarab to make sure that our map has the sacred grove. Then you're going to need a harvest scarab of the cornucopia. This one is quite expensive. I paid 40 chaos for this at the time of making this video. This is going to make sure that the seeds in your harvest are going to have a boss seed encounter. Right, the boss seed encounter is the tier 4 seed. Okay, so this is one method of getting harvest tier 4 encounters in your maps. The other thing you can do, and maybe this is the El Cheapo way if you want to call it that, is you can use Explorer's Scouting Report to re-roll your Kurek missions. Alright, one of the missions that can show up is area contains the sacred grove, crops are larger, crops contain higher tier seeds. This one has a very high percentage chance of spawning the tier 4 seed encounter, so let's go ahead and open it and see if one shows up. Alright, so here is the harvest mechanic, and then we're going to have a couple of plots spawn. Alright, no boss here. One boss here. No boss here. No boss here. And no boss here. Okay, so we only got one boss to spawn, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Let's go ahead and kill it, and then we will toss in the harvest scarab of cornucopia and see how many bosses we get there. And if you're going to be running this on your own maps using your own scarab, I recommend picking a map with high item quantity that is going to improve the number of life force you get from the harvest mechanic. And in that same note, make sure you pick up the harvest scarab of doubling. That's going to double the amount of life force you find, and that's going to help you recuperate some of the money that you spent on harvest scarab of cornucopia. Right, so let's go ahead and put these in, and then I'll see how many bosses spawned. Alright, so we're here in the Sacred Grove. You might want to put down a portal because these can be pretty dicey and 8-mod maps. So, no boss spawn here. No boss spawn here. And we got 2 boss spawns here. So this is one of those unfortunate situations where the bosses did not spread out evenly across the different crop patches. So here we have 2 bosses in one patch. You're going to have to pick one, and then the other is going to wilt. So, yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. Let's kill this real quick. And if we sell all of the life force we found from running that map, we get back 38 chaos. So you do lose a little bit of money depending on how many bosses spawn. But do that a few more times and you will get the tier 4 harvest seeds complete. Alright, the next encounter we're going to be doing is claim rewards from your rare mappers in King's March. For this, you are going to need a set of high-level mappers. You could probably get away with level 4 mappers, but there might be a little bit of a failure chance when you put in your map, okay? So here, I have 5 level 5 mappers. Then you're going to take a tier 14 or higher map. You do not want any quality on it. You're going to use an Orb of Transmutation to make it into a magic item. And then you're going to alt spam until you have 1 modifier on the map. Once you have your 1 modifier magic item, you're going to use a Regal Orb to make a 2 mod rare map. Alright, we're going to put this in, and it has a 100% chance of map completion. Okay, so that's with 5 level 5 mappers. All you have to do now is click Open Map, and in about 20 minutes, this will come back, and you will have progression towards this part of the challenge, right? This can be done passively as you're doing other things, so just load up 30 maps across your 3 different map devices, or just do 12 in one, and then you can come back and clear it out, and then put the next batch of maps in, and you should have this part of the challenge complete. Our next encounter is going to be Expedition Logbooks with at least 10 remnants active. For this, you're going to have to buy a logbook from other players. So you can type Expedition Logbook over here, and then I believe you go to Miscellaneous and you click Item Level 83. So if you do this right, the area level should be appropriate for our challenge. Make sure you set to Instant Buyout, and here you can buy any of them. Some of them are going to be cheap, 7 chaos. I'm sure there are going to be others that are much more expensive. I don't really run logbooks, guys. I can't tell you how they're priced. But once you have the item available for purchase, you can go buy it, and then you'll head back to your hideout. And there we're going to be talking to one of the Expedition NPCs. I think it's Danig. So Danig over here, you click Show Expedition Map. Make sure there's no modifiers on your Expedition Logbook. We don't want to make this any more difficult than it is. So once you have Show Expedition Map, click any of these, and then you can just click Open Portal. It's going to send you through your map device to the Expedition area. Alright, once you're in the Expedition Logbook map, you can press tab to open up the map overlay. Here you're going to be hit with a bunch of icons and indicators on your map. It is very confusing if you don't know what you're doing. Ignore all of them. The only thing you care about is this razor blade looking thing with the blue bright center. Alright, these are your remnant icons, okay? What we have to do is place explosives using the V button. So it's going to create a chain of explosives for you to do. You're going to want to get at least 10 of these remnants, and then you're going to want to detonate it and clear the map. So here is remnant number 1, here is remnant number 2, and here is remnant number 3, 4, 5, and that's all there was in this area. So we're going to have to make our explosive chain and go to the next part. All right, while you are doing this, be a little bit careful. I think this is remnant number 6, and there is 7. What I was saying is you want to be a little bit careful. Don't take any remnants that are going to brick your build. For example, here is a immune to fire remnant. If you are playing a fire damage build or an ignite build, don't take that remnant. It's going to make the map incompletable for you. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we have about 9 remnants. I'm going to take a couple more just to be safe. All right, we'll pick them up. And then that's it. That's all the explosives we had. Alright, so now we're going to go to the center here and click Detonate, and it's going to make the chain of explosives propagate throughout the map. All you have to do is clear the map of all the monsters that get unearthed from the explosives, and you should get a +1 to your progress of this challenge. Alright, that's it. I think the map is clear. Let me type in /remaining just to make sure. So if it says 0 monsters remain, then your Expedition Logbook is complete. You can take the portal back to town, buy 4 more logbooks, and do this 4 more times to get that portion of this challenge complete. Alright, last but not least, we want to do Domains of Timeless Conflict with at least 25 rewards. This is related to the Legion mechanic. You're going to have to buy yourself some of these timeless emblems. Some of them are going to be cheap, like the Karui, the Vol, and the Eternal Emblem. Some of them are going to be expensive, like the Maraketh, and I believe there was one more that was expensive. The Templar emblem is also quite expensive. Alright, to do this challenge, you'll need 4 of these emblems. You're going to put them into your map, and you're going to click Activate. This is going to open a 4-way Legion Timeless encounter. And we just want to double check that the area level is, in fact, 81 or above. 4-way is going to be 81. 5-way is going to be 83, so either of that is going to work. Once you have this activated, you're going to run into the center here. You're going to click your mini-map overlay, and you're going to run around and destroy these little green indicators, okay? This is a timed encounter, so you do need to be quick on your feet. Okay, the green indicators are going to be boss encounters. You might find some other reward on rare monsters as well. Make sure you clean those up. That is going to add towards your loot counter at the bottom. Okay, once there's nothing left on the map, you're going to run back to the center, and that is going to reset the monsters and spawn some new bosses, get some new rewards for you to kill. So you have around 4 minutes to do this, and you want to get this little reward thing at the bottom up to 25 rewards or more, okay? The more, the better. Alright, we have about 30 seconds left in the encounter. Remember to reset the monsters. You're going in the middle where that purple ring is, and that is going to reset monsters all around the map for you to kill, okay? That is just for the people that have never done this before, so you don't get confused. If you don't reset it, you will just be running around in a circle with nothing left to kill. Alright, I think we can do one more reset before it times out. Alright, so let's see if we can find a boss. There's one over here. And we got him, okay. Alright, once the timer is done, you'll get a shower of loot all around the middle. Alright, I will go through and loot all of this. Okay, so we do that 2 more times, and we'll get the Domains of Timeless Conflict with at least 25 rewards or higher complete, and that should be your Legendary Leagues challenges done. Our next challenge is Revolting Roots. Now, this one is also to do with the Keepers of the Flame League mechanic. You have to fully upgrade your Genesis tree through completing the following quests. Some of the quests are going to involve you spending Graft Blood on the Genesis tree and Womb Gifts. Others are going to require you to do some sort of in-game conditional. Maybe you beat a rare monster in one of the breaches, maybe you do your first Hive Fortress, or you beat the breach bosses in the Hive Brain Gland. Alright, but doing all of them is going to get you more points to spend on your tree, and you're going to have it fully unlocked, kind of like I do. Alright, so let's hop over to the Path of Exile wiki and make sure we get all of the right conditionals met. So here we are on the Path of Exile wiki.net, and this is going to show you all of the conditionals you have to do. So the Horned Skull is the first thing you get, and that's from completing an Act 1 tutorial hive. Then you're going to get a Hand Mouth, that is from completing a Act 2 hive. It's a random drop. Then we have the Clasped Skull in Act 3, the Claw Bramble in Act 4. That one has to be an unstable breach. Then we have the Severed Limb in Act 6. Then we have the Strange Limb from your first map hive. Then we have the Foul Hand from your map Unstable Breach. Then we have the Head of Varun. This is going to be from killing the unique monster that spawns from a stabilized breach. Right, then we have a Spiked Limb. This is from completing your first Hive Fortress in your map. Then we have the Breach Lord Limbs. This is from killing the unique boss encounters using the Hive Brain Gland. Right, and then last but not least, like I mentioned, you're going to have to unlock some points by gifting Graft Blood to the tree. In total, we're going to have to finish up by gifting 50,000 Graft Blood, which can take a little bit of time if you are doing Breach Mechanic in each of your maps. And for those of you guys that might be struggling to get the Graft Blood required to finish those gifts, what you can do is go to Asynchronous Trade. Here you're going to go to Type Filter, click any graft, then you're going to go to Stat Filter and look for the Increased Graft Blood Gained Explicit modifier. Set it to Instant Buyout Only, click Search, and then click on the modifier. That's going to sort it by the highest affix value first. So here we can see 25% increased Graft Blood gained is 2 Chaos Orbs. Go ahead and buy 2 of those, and you're going to be getting a lot more Graft Blood from all of your Breach encounters in your maps. Our next challenge is Achieve Ascension. This one is very straightforward. You have to complete each of the following Ascendancy tasks. So some of these are super easy, like completing your normal, cruel, and merciless lab. Some will be a little bit more tough, like your Uber lab once you get to maps. And new to this league is gain a Bloodline class. Now for those of you guys that don't know, Bloodline classes are attached to specific boss fights in the game. For example, you might get the Katarina Bloodline for defeating Katarina using the Syndicate Medallion. You might get the Crystal King Bloodline for defeating Crystal King in Delve. Okay, there's one for almost every boss you can think of. I actually have one on my character here, so this is the Oshabi Bloodline. Let me zoom in real quick. So you get this from beating the Harvest boss using the Sacred Blossom. Okay, so you don't actually have to spend points on it. You just need to activate it, and you should get this part of the challenge complete. Our next challenge has us interacting with mechanics that has to do with divination cards. So we have to complete 3 of the any following divination card tasks. You can open diviners strong boxes in your maps. You can complete red or purple maps with divination card scarabs. You can turn in sets of divination cards that reward currency, or you can scry a map. Let's start with the first one, opening Diviner's Strong Boxes. For this, I recommend taking the following Atlas passives. This is in the top right-hand side of your tree. It's going to increase the chance of you finding a Diviner's Strongbox. You can also take Vault of Mysteries. That's going to make it so your divination cards from those boxes are duplicated. Right? You also want to go to the bottom over here, and I believe you want to take Twice Tempted. That's going to let you spawn another Strongbox in your map. Once you have those passives selected, you can put in your map, and then you're going to put in 3 regular Ambush Scarabs. This is going to make it so that you have a total of 9 Strongboxes in your map. Then you're going to put in 1 Ambush Scarab of Discernment. This is going to make those Strongboxes more likely to be rare varieties. The Diviner's Strongbox is, in fact, one that is a rare variety. Last but not least, we're going to put in the Ambush Scarab of Hidden Compartments. This is going to make it so you have a chance to open the Strongbox again. Alright, that is going to save us a little bit of time. Maybe we get lucky and we open a Diviner's Strongbox twice. Last thing you can do is use the Ambush modifier on your map device. So where is it? Right here. This is going to add another 4 Strongboxes to your maps. So let's toss that in and see if we get any Diviner Strongboxes in this map. Alright, so I cleared the map. We only found 1 Diviner's Strongbox. Let's go ahead and open it. Alright, it has been opened. We didn't get a duplication chance for the chance to open it. That's okay. So just do that a couple more times with the Scarab setup that I showed you, and you should get this portion of the challenge complete. Alright, the next thing we can do is turn in sets of divination cards that reward currency. You need to do 30 sets. Some of them are really easy to find. Things like Society's Remorse. These drop from whenever you click on Sulfite Veins in your map. Right, you can trade in 30 of these. That's what I did. Right, you can also do things like 3 Faces in the Dark. That'll give you back 3 Chaos Orbs. Reign of Chaos for 1 Chaos Orb. Or Chaotic Despacito. This is going to give you 5 Chaos Orbs. Okay, so a lot of options here for finishing this challenge right there. Now, you have one last thing to do here. You can either complete red maps with the Divination card Scarabs. These are a little bit on the expensive side, especially Divination Scarab of the Cloister is a very popular farm this league. That's going to cost you some money. Or you can toss in some Divination Scarab of Plenty and just kind of run some maps. Right? It's really just a personal choice. Or you can try and get a map scried by finding the Nameless Seer. This one is a little bit more of an RNG fest. You could run 10 maps and get it. You can run 100 maps and never see a Nameless Seer. So it really comes down to dealer's choice. Pick the 3 that you like, do them, and skip the one that you don't like. And that should be the Telling Tarot challenge complete. Our next challenge is Peddler's Produce number 2. This is going to have us doing more vendor recipes. Remember the first challenge we did all the way at the beginning of this video? This time around, we have to do one for the Cartographer's Chisel, the Chaos Orb, Regal Orb, and the Exalted Shard. Okay, to get your Cartographer's Chisel, you're going to need yourself a gavel. You're going to have to use some Blacksmith's Whetstone on it to get it to 20% quality. And then you need a map. Any map will do. Okay, so you sell items to a vendor, you sell your map, you sell the gavel, that is 20%, and you'll get back 1 Cartographer's Chisel. For the Chaos Orb, you're going to have to vendor a full set of equipment. So that could be 1 two-handed weapon or 2 one-handed weapons. Then you could have a hat, gloves, boots, 2 rings, 1 amulet, a belt, and a chestplate. Okay, all of them need to be above level 60, but below level 75. So here, the items are item level 74. That's going to give me back a Chaos Orb when I vendor it. So put all this in. Right, and if they're unidentified, you'll get double the amount of currency back. So normally, if these were identified, it'd be 1 Chaos Orb. Since they're un-ID'd, you get 2 Chaos Orbs instead. Okay, this is what we call the Chaos Recipe. And for the Regal Orb, you're going to do the exact same thing I showed you, except now you're going to be using items that have eye level 75 or higher. Okay, so that is how you get Regal Orb. But before that, let's talk about how you can find some of these rare items in a pinch. What I did is I put Anarchy Scarabs into my map, and then I put on the Anarchy Map Device option. This is going to put a bunch of Rogue Exiles in your map. Okay, Rogue Exiles drop 1 of every item, and if you have enough item quantity on your map, they will drop multiple rares from each slot. So you could find, you know, all your rings, you could find your belt. Basically, one map with the Rogue Exiles in it is going to give you everything you need for your Chaos and Regal Orbs. Now, what about the Exalted Shard? How do we go about finding influenced items? That can be pretty difficult to do, right? Okay, so I've been spending the last few minutes trying to come up with a quick and easy way to farm those influenced items. I know you can get them from doing Maven invitations or destructive play, but what if you just want to get them as quickly as possible? I think the best way is going to be to buy it from another player. So you're going to open up a synchronous trade. You're going to set it to instant buyout only. Then let's say we want to get a ring for our Chaos Recipe. I'll type in ring, and then we're going to go to stat filters and type in ~shaper, and then you're going to click on sudo has shaper influence, and then we're going to click search. Okay, you want to make sure you don't have any uniques showing up, so go back to type filters, go to item rarity, click any non-unique, and here you're going to be getting a list of influenced items to buy from other players. So a ring is for Chaos. Let's say I want an amulet because jewelry tends to be more difficult to find. This is 14 Chaos, and then a belt is, let's see, so you might have to spend a little bit of currency on the accessories, but everything else should be cheap. Alright, so I've gone ahead and bought all of my missing pieces. Let's put all of these into the vendor. And because they're all unidentified, I will be getting double the amount of Exalted Shards back. So let's turn this in. And that should be Peddler's Produce number 2 complete. Next up, we have another challenge that is a little bit more difficult to complete. This one is called Aggravating Antagonists. You have to defeat 6 of the following bosses while they are at least level 80. Okay, for that, you need to do Uber et Ziri. For anyone that has not done Uber et Ziri, you need 4 of the Mortal Fragments. So you're going to need Mortal Grief, Mortal Rage, Mortal Ignorance, and I think Mortal Hope. Let me go find the last Mortal Fragment. Yep, so that would be Mortal Hope. Alright, most of these will cost you a couple of Chaos each. Let's go ahead and buy one right there. Alright, and that should be our Mortal Fragment set to fight Uber et Ziri. Okay, Uber et Ziri has a Reflect mechanic, so make sure you have Reflect immunity or you will commit Sudoku when trying to do this challenge. Right, next up we can do Uber Izaro. So this requires you to have some of the enhanced offering to the goddess. Let's go to Faustus real quick. Type in goddess and see what shows up. Okay, so the offering to the goddess is your regular Uber Lab, and then tribute, gift, and dedication is going to be Uber Izaro. Which one of these is cheapest? Let's find out. I think gift is very expensive, and dedication is also very expensive. Wow, these have just gone up in price a bunch. So the cheapest you have right now is tribute to the goddess. So pick that up. Go fight Uber Izaro, and that should be 2 out of the 6 people killed. You're also going to be able to fight the Abyssal Lich, so this is from doing the Abyss mechanic in your maps. If any of the Abyssal Pits lead into depths, then you will have a chance to fight the Abyssal Lich. Alright, so just make sure you run it on a map that is tier 13 or above, and you should be able to get the Abyssal Lich complete. Alright, for the Omnitech, this is to do with the Incursion mechanic. Alright, we're going to open up the asynchronous trade. We're going to type in Chronicle of Atzawaddle. Then you're going to go to Map Filters, and make sure the area level is set to 80 or above. I'm just going to click 83. Right, and what you're looking for here is any of these options. Make sure it's instant buyout only with the apex of Axolotl open. If it says obstructed, you do not want to run that. So let's find one that is open. Okay, if you're having issues and you need to scroll a lot like I do, you can go to stat filters. You can type in apex, and then pseudo has room, apex of Axolotl, and then you want to make sure this is an open room. All right, so here's one that is open. We basically put this into our map device, we run the temple, we get to the top, we kill the boss, which is the Omnitect, and that should be Aggravating Antagonist complete for the Omnitect. You can also do Vox Twins. This is related to the heist mechanic. It has you completing a bunch of heist quests. Alright, so we have the Twins. This is an I-level 83 contract that requires you to be done all of the heist quest progressions. You can run this in the Rogue Arbor, and that will be fighting the Twins, or the Vox Twins, for Aggravating Antagonists. Next up, we can also fight any of the Beyond bosses, so you can fight Angelica, Katash, Gore, or Badette. Alright, to do this, I recommend using the Beyond Scarabs. So Beyond Scarab of Resurgent is going to make it so bosses are more likely to spawn. You can have a look at the other ones. That is going to increase the number of Beyond portals you get. Basically, the higher the mob density, the more likely the boss will spawn. Just make sure you don't take this Keystone passive on your Atlas tree, because it is going to make it so that the Beyond bosses cannot spawn. Where is it? I think it is right here. Alright, don't take Endless Tide. That makes it so that the boss can never spawn. Right, another cool way to do the Beyond mechanic is by using Nico. I have to go to Delve for that. Let me go there real quick. Okay, so you can go to your Delve chart if you've been delving at all. I might have to scroll out a bit. There is a Beyond node that can spawn, and if that Beyond node spawns, it will also spawn a boss at the very end of it. I'm pretty sure this one counts, so let me know if I'm wrong about that, but you can also get a Beyond boss using Delve. Right, then we have Medivh, Vorana, or Uhtred. These are the bosses that spawn in the Expedition logbooks. If you want to buy a logbook with a guaranteed boss, that is going to cost you a lot of money. Alternatively, you could just spam logbooks until the boss shows up. It's going to be a skull icon on your logbook mini map, okay? So you just have to make sure you detonate it. Try not to put too many remnants on it, or the boss will kick your butt. All right, and then last but not least, we have the Black Knight, Admiral, or Sasan. These are going to be the bosses related to King's March. So I think the Black Knight appears in the Verisium Starfall Crater. Admiral Valerius is the guy that shows up when he kidnaps your shippers, and Sasan is the boss that shows up when they kidnap your mappers. Alright, so pick any 6 of these encounters and get this challenge done. I apologize for not having any footage for this challenge. It is a little bit of a pain to collect. Next up, we have Grotesque Gains, which is another challenge related to the Keepers of the Flame League mechanic. For this, you have to use 5 of the following implant or foul-born currencies this specified number of times. Okay, so the implants are currency items that only work on graft items. So here we have Augmentation Implant, Regal Implant, and Exalted Implant. Then we also have Foul-Born Currency Orbs. So these are going to work on your regular items. They have a chance of adding higher tier modifiers to your item. So we have the Foul-Born Orb of Augmentation, and we have the Foul-Born Regal Orb. Alright, I do not recommend you guys to use the Foul-Born Exalted Orb or the Unstable Implant. Those are sought after currencies that are worth a lot to other players. It's going to be a lot cheaper to do the 5 that I mentioned. Alright, and if you're wondering how to find yourself a magic graft to use those implants on, all you have to do is open up Asynchronous Trade. You're going to click Instant Buyout Only. You're going to go to Type Filters, set it to Graft. You're going to go to Item Rarity, set it to Magic. Then you're going to go to Stat Filter, type in ~prefix. So in this case, we have pseudo prefix modifiers. Click minimum 1. Then you're going to go to Add Stat Group. Click Not. You're going to type in ~suffix. This might not show up right away. Okay, so ~suffix. Right, and this is going to make sure that the item on your search filter has no suffixes, right? So you can see here we have a 1 prefix magic item for us to buy. This is going to cost 1 Chaos Orb. Let's go buy it real quick. All right, here it is. So there is our 1 affix magic item. You're going to use an Augmentation Implant. That's going to make it a 2 affix magic item. You're going to use a Regal Implant. That's going to make it a 3 affix rare item. And you're going to finish it up with an Exalted Implant. That's going to make it a full 4 mod graft, okay? So do that a couple more times. It looks like you need to do 4 Augmentation Implants, 3 Regal Implants, and 2 Exalted Implants. And then just grab a few of the Foulborn currency orbs off of exchange and use that on random equipment to get this challenge complete. Alright, and if you want to farm this yourself, maybe you're playing an SSF, you get these items from the Lavish Womb Gift. Let's see if I have any Lavish ones left. Okay, so here's a Lavish Womb Gift. We'll zoom out a bit, go to the Genesis tree. Alright, and we'll put in this and click Consume.
She is pleased.
Alright, so you can see here, that's where we get our Foulborn currency. It does require you to have some of these passive nodes allocated, so make sure you read what they do, otherwise you might not get the implants or Foulborn currency. And with that said, that is Grotesque Gains complete. Oh boy, here we go again. This next challenge, guys, is Remarkable Realms. It requires you to complete 17 of the following unique maps. Now, 15 of these are super easy to do. The 16th one is actually not that hard to do. But back into the rotation is one that is a nightmare for most people to complete, and that is Doriani's Machinarium. This is a unique map that only shows up in 2 places. One is in Delve. You can get it from one of the Val Outpost bosses. So if somebody else finds that, they're going to be selling it to you for quite a pretty penny. We'll do a quick search here. Doriani's Machinarium, instant buyout only. 10 divines, oh lordy. You are going to be breaking the bank on this one, and the longer you wait to do it, the more it will cost. So, yeah. What is another way for us to get this? Well, you could also try and get it using the comprehensive scouting reports. I thought I had more than 6 here. It's kind of sad that I only have 6. So let's go ahead and we will open up Keurig missions. Oh my god, is that an Untainted Paradise? Okay, guys, hold on. I want to go do this Untainted Paradise on my alt first because I need the XP. So I'll be right back. Yeah, what's this build over here? If you guys want to see a build showcase on this character, let me know in the comments down below. Anyways, back to the challenges. Alright, we're back on our main character now, so this is the Comprehensive Scouting Report. It's going to reroll all of your Keurig's Atlas missions, and it's going to give you a chance to find Doriani's Machinarium. Now, this is RNG, this is a gamble, but I'm going to guess that it's going to cost you less than 10 divs to find the map. So let's go ahead and try it. And while you are doing this, you might want to look out for any of the juicy Keurig missions, like Einhar Harvest Beasts. Doing those might help you recuperate some of your currency you spend on these reports. So let's keep re-rolling. Hey, there it is! On, I think, number 4? Number 4 of the map re-roll thingy. That's not bad. Maybe I got a little bit lucky. We'll have to figure this out. Guys, this is kind of one of those things that is worth a lot of money, so I'm going to go into Global and see if anybody else wants to join. So Global 4040 is the global channel for the challenges, I believe. So let's see what they're doing. All right, so it looks like we filled up with plus 3 people. You can host up to 6 in total, including yourself. Okay, so you're saving some people some divines if they're trying to complete this challenge. So once you're in the map, all we have to do is escort these little silo thingies. It's like the same thing you do in Act 6 on the beach. You're just guiding this thing by standing in it and not dying in the process. And once you do that 3 times, you get to fight a boss, and then you get the map complete. So let's do that super quick. Alright, the escorts have been done. I think we can just go up this little staircase here. It's going to be the boss from Act 2, the Val Oversoul. And there it is. Okay, the other map that is not that straightforward to get is going to be Vingtar Square. For this, you're going to need to assemble the Agnerod staves. So there's one for every cardinal direction. I seem to have the south and north staves with me. If you do not have the other ones, you can buy it off asynchronous trade. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. Alright, so I've gone ahead and got myself each one of the 4 staves. Once you have them, you can vendor it, and it's going to give you a unique courtyard map. You can run it unidentified if you'd like, but it's basically going to be the Vingtar square. Right, toss this into your map device, and then you can go run it. I'm not going to show you footage of this one. It should be pretty self-explanatory. You're going to go pull like a lever in each part of the map, and then you'll fight a big boss, and then you are good to go. Right, let's talk about the other maps you need for this challenge. It's going to be 15 of the maps that are part of Atlas Completion. So if I go in here and I type in unique, most of them are going to glow. You're going to have some false positives. I think something like Arid Lake map is obviously not a unique map, but you'll have things like Death and Taxis, you'll have Pillars of Arun, Volts of Atziri, and so on and so forth. Okay, so there are a couple ways you can do this. You can just go buy it off of someone, so I could type in something like Volt of Atziri, click search, alright, and then I just go and buy it from whatever the cheapest option is here. Alternatively, you could do Curec missions, so it doesn't need to be red maps for this. It could be white, yellow, or red. So let's go ahead and get some reports. There is even a singular scouting report that you can buy and use for this challenge. So this is worth 1 chaos each, maybe a little bit more at this point of the game. So you can toss this in. And then re-roll your Curec missions. So here we got Olmec Sanctum, here we have Hallowed Ground, here we have Pillars of Rune. Right, pick whichever one you need and run it. It's going to be completely random when you flip using these reports. Okay, so here is Coward's Trial. That's actually a pretty good one for XP. I might go run that on my alt again, guys. So anyways, that's it for Remarkable Realms. I will see you soon for the next challenge. Our next challenge is a pretty easy one. That is Bijou Beetles. This involves you completing red or purple tier rare maps while they have at least 70% item quantity with different number of scarabs. I'm pretty sure if you run 5 scarabs, it counts as at least 4, 3, 2, and 1. But if that's not the case, then I guess you're going to be running some kind of 1 or 2 scarab strat. I don't remember doing that. So I'm assuming that 5 scarabs counts for all of the ones below. Right, the easiest way to get a map to have 70% quality or higher is to chisel it. Then you're going to pull out some alchemies and scours. And then you're going to sit here and you're going to alch it until that item quantity says that it is higher than 70. Right, make sure that you can actually run the map modifiers on these maps. My character cannot be leeched, so I'll have to reroll. So let's do another alch and go. Right, so here's 75%. It just has a bunch of added damage. I can do that no problem. And if you're looking for a 5 scarab strategy to do for this challenge, how about checking out my Settlers Tattoo Firm video? A lot of you guys seem to like that one, so shameless self-promotion right here. So next up we have Trusted Thaumaturgy. This is going to have you interacting with gems. You have to complete any 3 of the following gem tasks. Right, the first one is pretty easy, although I haven't done it. You have to have at least 25 gems socketed into your equipment. You can do this by equipping 2 unset rings, and then you have to find the unique amulet. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's called Knight's Hold Black Maw Talisman. This is going to give you another 1 socket. So you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and then another 6 sockets on your chest should give you that challenge complete. Next, we have turn in a divination set that rewards a level 21 gem or a 23% quality gem. For this, I recommend you checking your divination card tab. One that I had a lot of cards for was the skeleton. This is going to give you back a 23% quality skeleton, and that should give you that complete. Next is apply 6 or more support gems effects to a socketed skill gem at once. So for this, I recommend buying yourself a Bringer of Rain helmet. It does not need to be double corrupted like the one I have here. I just happen to have those corruptions on it. I thought it was pretty cute. So you can go and type in Bringer of Rain, instant buyout only. Alright, so you can see that the item doesn't cost much at all. Basically, it is a 4-socket item, so you can put 1 skill gem into it, and then you can add 3 support gems, and the other 3 is going to be provided by the helmet. You're going to get melee physical damage, faster attacks, and blind. Just make sure it's an attack skill that can actually be supported by those gems, and then you should get this portion of the challenge complete. Last but not least, you can also level an awakened gem to level 5. This is one you can do by just leveling it naturally, or if you want to speed run it, I believe there is a beast you can use with the Blood Altar Bestiary crafting. It's called Wild Bramblejack. It costs 10 chaos each. You're going to toss this into your bestiary in the menagerie. You're going to put in your awakened gem, and it's going to give it +1 levels. Okay, you can do this all the way up till +5. You can do it pretty quick. So for 60 chaos and the price of the awakened gem, you can get this challenge complete. Next up, we have cross-contamination. Now, this is one of my favorite challenges to do because it requires you to think outside the box and be a little bit strategic. Basically, there's a list of content that interacts with one another, and your job is to do them in the map while they are, well, basically interacting with each other. So you might have something like opening a smuggler's cache while you are affected by a shrine. You might have something like defeating a beyond boss while you're delirious. Okay, so let's work through 4 of these that I think you should do. We'll start with the open a smuggler's cache while affected by a shrine. So to do this, you're going to need yourself a map. It doesn't need to be rolled or anything fancy like that. You're going to get yourself at least 1 domination scarab. This is going to make it so that your map contains 2 additional shrines. Right? Then you're going to select the heist map device option. So that is going to be area contains 3 additional smuggler's caches. Putting this onto your map will cost you, I think, 5 or 6 chaos. So let's go ahead and do that. Once you're in the map, you're going to find the smuggler's cache. Don't open it right away. Instead, go look for the shrine. So here is one at the start. We got lucky with that. So you're going to pick up the shrine. I can see it. For some reason, it hasn't rendered. So here's the Shrouded Shrine. I'll click on that real quick. And then you're going to run over to your smuggler's cache and you're going to open it. And that is going to be the challenge complete. All right, let's go look at the next few. Okay, next we need to do a ore deposit encounter while affected by a tempest. For this, you're going to need 2 very specific scarabs. So one of the scarabs is going to be the Scarab of Radiant Storms. This makes it so that the area spawns with a Resplendent Tempest. And then you're going to need at least 1 Kalguran Scarab. Maybe you can get 2 in case you get some kind of weird encounter that gets bricked, like the Amber Tree. So if you want to be extra safe, go ahead and put in 2 Kalguran Scarabs. And then you can also put in the Settlers League mechanic if you want to be super extra safe. That is going to cost you 5 chaos, okay? So, map 2 scarabs for the Kalguran, and then you're going to put in 1 scarab of Radiant Storms. Let's go ahead and do that super quick. Okay, so same like last time, you're going to run around the map until you find the point of interest. Here is our Settlers ore deposit, and then you're just going to wait for the Tempest to spawn. And if you stand on it, you'll notice you'll get a buff for 20 seconds. Okay, so we're just going to wait for another Tempest to spawn, and then we're going to click the ore and try to complete it before the Tempest times out. So where is the little Tempest? There's one right here. Alright, then we're going to click on the ore, and then we're just going to finish the encounter, and that should be that part of the challenge complete. Okay, so that's it. Very simple, very straightforward. The next one I recommend you to do is capture a beast holding an essence. For this, we're going to need a bunch of scarabs. Again, you're going to need the bestiary scarab so that Einhar spawns in your maps. Then you're going to want some essence scarabs. The more, the better. You're going to take your map, you're going to put in all of your scarabs, and then you're going to make sure you click on the Essence Map Device mod. Okay, so doing this is going to have bestiary in your map. It's also going to have a bunch of essences. There is a chance for it to interact. Sometimes it might not. So let's go ahead, spawn in, and see if we got lucky. Alright, and I ran through the map, and it looks like there are some bestiary essences here. I was kind of afraid that we would have missed it, but it looks like we got it. So let's go ahead and do it. Basically, you're going to click on the essence, it's going to spawn the essence with the bestiary mod on it, and then Einhar is going to show up and capture it when it is done. Right? Pretty simple. And the fourth one I recommend you to do is defeat a rogue exile that is possessed at least 3 times. This is also going to require you to think a little bit outside the box, so we might have to remap some of our Atlas points here. Let me do that real quick. Okay, so if you go to the center of your Atlas passive skill tree, you're going to see a passive here called Exiled Will. It makes it so wild rogue exiles in your maps are possessed by a tormented spirit. Go ahead and take that. And then you can also take Tormented Spirits have increased duration. These are just these small nodes over here. You can also take Paranormal Meeting, so you can have 1 extra Tormented Spirit in your maps if you'd like that. Alright, and if you have any other points to spare, you could probably take Seance. I'm going to have to respec a couple more of my passives to get that. Alright, so there it is. We took Seance. These are basically the nodes I recommend for doing this challenge. Then we have to get ourselves some Scarabs. Okay, so what we want is 2 Torment Scarabs. This is going to make it so that the Tormented Spirits are released when the possessed monster is slain. And then you're going to go ahead and get the Anarchy Scarabs. Once again, the more the better. Okay, so we're going to put in our 2 Torment Scarabs. We're going to put in 3 Anarchy Scarabs. You're going to put in the Strand map or whatever map you decide to run. And then you are going to click Anarchy on your map device. That'll cost you a few Chaos. So let's go ahead and do this map real quick. Alright, we're in the map now. So basically we're going to look for the Rogue Exile. So here's one. Okay. And then it's going to release the ghost when you kill it. Be careful not to kill the ghost. So this ghost really just wants to stay near these monsters. Okay, so that one was, mission failed. That's okay. Here is a Rogue Exile with 2. That's a lot of spirits, holy crap. Okay, so here it is. We have a Rogue Exile with a ton of spirits on it. That's all you need to do. This guy is clapping cheeks, okay? So, that's it. That's the challenge. That is a little bit of ghost busting. It is a lot easier to do than the alternatives. I don't like Ritual, so I'm not going to be doing that. And defeating a Beyond boss while Delirious is also a pain, because sometimes you can't get that Beyond boss to spawn. So that was it. That was Cross-Contamination, and if you somehow manage to do all 4 of these challenges in one map with an Atlas and Scarab setup, more power to you. That's kind of the fun part of this challenge. Our next challenge is Gruesome Grafts. This is another one that is related to the Keepers of the Flame mechanic. You have to equip any of the following grafts while they are item level 78 or higher, and while they have 4 modifiers. So you have to pick 12 of any of the grafts available. So you might have some in your graft locker. I still have things left over from when I did the challenge, but if you want to know how I got them, basically you're going to go into asynchronous trade. You're going to click item category graft. Then you're going to go into stat filters. Miscellaneous. You're going to make sure the item level is set to 83, right? And then you're going to go to stat filters. You're going to type in tilde prefixes. And then you're going to type in tilde suffixes. And then you're going to make sure the minimum for both those stats are set to 2. You also want to set it to instant buyout only, and if you did all of this correctly, you're going to see a bunch of grafts for sale. Alright, they're going to have 4 modifiers each, and they're going to be item level 83 or above. All you need to do is work your way through this list. Alright, you type in battering, you get yourself a battering graft, you do spiking, impaling, so on and so forth, until 12 of these grafts have been equipped. It's just a lot of hideout hopping as you buy these from other players. If you're an SSF, obviously you're going to have to do a little bit of the mechanic, and you're going to have to use the Growing Womb gift in your Genesis tree to get those items yourself, right? So do that a couple times and Gruesome Grafts will be complete. Our next challenge is Bloodline Boons. This one is very straightforward. Defeat any 7 of the following bosses or encounters. All of these bosses are related to some sort of league mechanic, and funnily enough, they also have a Bloodline class attached to them. You don't need to obtain the Bloodline class, you just have to kill the boss, and that is going to count for this challenge. So for our options, we have the Trial Master from Ultimatum, we have the King in the Mists from Ritual, we have Ashabi from Sacred Grove Harvest. We have Katarina from the Mastermind encounter in Betrayal. We have All the Crystal King from Delve. We have Ulrith and Lycia. I don't actually remember what Ulrith was. That could be an expedition boss. Lycia is the boss from Sanctum. Farul is going to be the boss from Bestiary. Simulacrum just involves you finishing all 15 waves of the Simulacrum. That doesn't actually have a boss encounter. And then last but not least, we have the new bosses, It That Was Tull and It That Was Esh. You're going to get access to that fight by using the Hive Brain Gland from the Breach mechanic. You can buy that off of Faustus. It's pretty inexpensive. Alright, so do any 7 of these encounters and you will finish Bloodline Boons. Our next challenge is another straightforward one. It is called Atlas Awe, but just because it's straightforward doesn't mean that it's easy. Okay, this requires you to get all 12 of your favored map slot completions. So in order to do that, you're going to open up your Atlas. You're going to look on the left-hand side of the Atlas, and you're going to see 12 circles. Each one of these circles is going to be a slot for your favorite maps, and it's going to have a condition you have to fulfill before you can unlock it. Some of them are easy, like completing a tier 16 map. Some of them are hard, like doing the Feared Maven Invitation. Okay, so you're going to have to work your way through each of these. Right, I'm sorry I can't be more help in this one. You're just going to have to work through each of these things. If I were to sit here and show you, the Shaper fight, the Maven fight, the Feared fight, we would be here forever. And sometimes your build might not be able to do it, so you might have to buy a carry. Okay, I'll show you guys how to look for carries using the Path of Exile forums later. But get all 12 of those objectives complete and you will have this challenge finished. Our next challenge is Quantity Quandary. This is going to have you running maps, and a lot of them. The objective here is to complete maps with a total of 50,000% item quantity from modifiers and additional sources, such as sacrifice fragments. If you run these maps in your party, the quantity bonus you get from your party does not count. So long story short, guys, run a lot of maps. If you can do 100% quantity on your maps, do that 500 times, you will have this challenge complete. Our next challenge is Originator's Oath. This is going to have you running Zana-influenced T16.5 maps that were added in the previous patch. For those of you guys that don't know, this is what these maps look like. It'll say area is influenced by the Originator's memories. Alright, and it's going to have this white-bluish circle around the map. Right? Basically, the challenge requires you to run a total of 200 explicit modifiers on these types of maps. So the best way to do this is to alk and scour them until they have 5 or 6 modifiers, and then you're just going to put them into your map device and run them. If you don't want to roll your own maps, you can do this using Aegon's memory chains instead. So Aegon is related to the memory tear system. You're going to click on him. If you have a memory tear active, you'll also have a Originator influenced map in his map device. Right here, you cannot remove the map from the map device, but what you can do instead is bring currency to the map device. You can also bring some scarabs there, so you can run some of your scarab strategies. Right, so you click on Aegon. Right here, I can alk and scour my map. I can do chisels on it for quantity, and then I can toss in some scarabs. I can even use the map device option. All right, so a lot of things you can do. The only thing you can't do is remove this map from the map device. Okay, so you can run your Originator influenced maps with Aegon, or you could buy it off of another player or find it in your own maps, and you can run it in your own map device. All right, run a total of 200 explicit modifiers, and you'll have this challenge complete. Our next challenge is Sinew Swarms. This is also related to the Keepers of the Flame League mechanic. You have to complete the specified number of encounters while the area is level 81 or higher. So basically your T14, T15, T16 red map encounters. Okay, you have to do a total of 60 Defend Aelith Hive encounters. You have to do a total of 60 Stabilizing the Breach encounter. And you have to do 10 Hive Fortress or Hive Colony encounters. The Hive Fortress is the most rare. If you're having trouble finding them, you can instead choose to use the Hive Brain Gland in your map device. This is going to spawn the Hive Colony encounter where you can fight the Breach bosses. So make sure you're able to kill those bosses. And once you do that, that should be Sinew Swarms complete. Our next challenge is Keystone Keepers. This has you running Exarch, Eater, and Maven-influenced maps. In order to do this, you're going to have to be in the very end game and have your influence unlocked. So once you have that, you can open up your Atlas, and you're going to have to run these influences with the keystone that accompanies the strat on the Atlas passive tree. For the Searing Exarch, that is going to be Wrath of Cosmos. And then if you go to the right side, you're going to have a similar one for the Eater of Worlds. That is going to be Eldritch Gaze. And then lastly, for Maven, in the center top, you're going to have Destructive Play. Right, so these are the nodes that you need allocated in your passive tree while you run them. So we need to use a total of 100 Exarch red altars. We need to use a total of 100 Eater blue altars, and then we need to witness a total of 150 map bosses with a destructive play. Right? Remember that destructive play involves you full clearing the map before you fight the boss, and then it's going to spawn multiple bosses for you to fight. So 150 bosses is not actually 150 maps. It's going to be considerably less as long as you are full clearing the map before you fight the bosses. Okay, so do those and you'll have Keystone Keepers complete. Our next challenge is Expensive Extravagance, and if the name wasn't a giveaway, this one is going to break your bank. For this challenge, we need to interact with expensive currency items. Some of them are going to be very expensive, like the Mirror of Calandra. I recommend you skip out on doing that. Others are going to be a little bit more affordable, like Blight Oils, Catalysts, or Corrupted Essences. Most of the currency is going to be somewhere in the middle, where it's going to cost you a couple of divines to engage with, but we're going to use the Betrayal mechanic to try and get as many of these done for free, or, quote, free. Your time is what you're using on the Betrayal mechanic here. That way you don't have to spend all your divines on getting this challenge done. So real quick, let's talk about the ones you can actually buy. Blight Oils and Catalysts should be very affordable. Those are only a couple of chaos each. Same thing can be said for the Tainted Currencies. There's also some cheap tattoos and rune grafts you can use. Right, so all of those are very affordable for you to just buy right off the bat. So which ones are the more expensive ones? Things like the Veiled Exalted Orb, Tempering or Tailoring Orb, Influenced Exalted Orb, Hinakora's Lock, right, Fracturing Orb, all of these things are going to cost you, and that's what we're going to use Betrayal for. So I'm going to hop over to the Betrayal cheat sheet, and then we can talk about what NPCs you want to put in what divisions, so you can get their crafting benches to use in this challenge. So on the screen right now should be the Betrayal cheat sheet for patch 3.27. In the top row, you should see from left to right all of the NPCs you can place onto your investigation board. And then in the leftmost column, you should see from top down all of the divisions you can place them in. For those of you guys that know your way around the mechanic, we're basically going to get certain NPCs to level 3, and then we're going to make sure they're in the correct division. When you run the safe house for that division, you're going to get access to a crafting bench, and that crafting bench is going to have the currency you need for the Expensive Extravagance challenge. Let's go over some of the ones you might want to do real quick. If you get Aisling in Research, you get access to the Veiled Chaos Orb. If you put her in Fortification, you get access to the Veiled Exalted Orb. If you put Chimeria in Research, you'll get access to using regular currency on jewels. So this is where you can get access to that Divine Orb for the Cunning Craft challenge I mentioned earlier in the video. If you put Elrion into Research, you get access to Tainted currency, although that is one I'm going to suggest you buy instead of waste your time running on Betrayal. If you put Guff into Research, you also get access to the Reflecting Mist. However, this one seems a little bit buggy because it's not working and not triggering the challenge complete. So maybe skip out on Guff. If you put Haku into Research, you get access to the Hinokora Lock. If you put Hillock into Fortification, you'll get access to Influenced Exalted Orbs. If you put him in Research, you'll get access to Eldritch Currency. If you put Corel into Research, you get Corrupted Essences. This might save you a couple of chaos if you don't want to buy it. And if you put Vagan into Research, you get the Fracturing Orb, so you can save a couple of divines there. Right, so if we use Betrayal to get some of these done, you should only have a few left that you have to buy that you can't get through the Betrayal crafting benches. Things like the Orb of Remembrance, Unraveling Our Intention, things like the Sacred Orb, or something like the Tempering or Tailoring Orb from Heist. But I don't want to just tell you guys about this. I do have one of the safe houses set up. I'm going to go ahead and remove show relationships here so you guys don't get confused. Okay, so here we're going to run Corel and Haku in our Research safe house. And if I look at my cheat sheet, we should be getting Corrupted Essences as well as Hinokora's Lock. So let's go see if that tracks. Alright, and for your safe house, if you need XP, you can kill all of these monsters. They have a very high experience. This is one of the ways you can actually get to level 99 and 100. But if you're like me and you're already leveled up or you just don't care about XP, you can just run through them. They don't drop any good loot. Okay, so we're just going to go all the way to the end of the map where the safe house is. Alright, you can put down a portal if you think you're going to die.
This is no Caldera home, but you can believe I'll don't you see the flames? They don't burn you.
Alright, and then you're going to interrogate the leader.
I won't tell you.
Unfortunately, we didn't get any good drops, and what we are really here for is the crafting benches. So this one is going to be, right, you can see we have some Conqueror Exalted Orbs, we have Hinokora's Lock, we have a normal Exalted Orb. So I don't know, let's just start using these randomly. There you go. That should be some of your challenges complete. Alright, next up is, this one should be Corel, so I'm expecting Essences. So, yeah, here we have 5 Corrupted Essences that we can just spam, right? And then, yeah, that should be Corel and Haku for the Corrupted Essence and the Hinokora's Lock. Okay, so you're just going to do this with all of the other leaders that I mentioned a minute ago. Our next challenge is Cruel Challenges, and this involves you completing each of the following invitations while they have at least 70% item quantity. Right, so you have to do Screaming, which is Eater of Worlds, Incandescent, which is Searing Exarch, then you need to do the Elder Slayers, Feared, Forgotten, Formed, Remembered, and Twisted invitations once they have been Maven witnessed. Okay, the 2 hardest ones to do here is going to be the Remembered and the Feared. The Feared because it is just a lot of pinnacle bosses in one fight, and the Remembered because it is very dependent on RNG. So to get access to those fights, you have to do memory tears using Aegon. So if I click on Aegon over here, I think I have to open up my Atlas. You can see that I have the Courtyard of Wasting map in my current memory tier. So I'll check my invitation. I already have the Courtyard of Wasting. Right? I need Theater of Lies, so next time I open up my memory tier, it might not be Theater of Lies, and you might just get stuck looking for the one you're missing, and that can be incredibly annoying. Okay, so that is hard because of RNG, and then the Feared is going to be hard, like I said, because it is just a difficult encounter. So if you're wondering how to get 70% or higher on these invitations, you just have to alch and scour them until it hits. Okay, so here we have one that is item quantity 84. Then you just want to make sure you can actually run the map modifiers. So
Incineration.
Alright, so that's it. You're going to have to do that for each of the listed invitations here. So, like I said, Eater of Worlds, Searing Exarch, all of the Maven invitations, and then you'll get Cruel Challenges complete. Alright, so we're getting close to the end now. I can't even scroll down to see any more challenges. So our next challenge is going to be Inconceivable Incarnations. This has you fighting the T16.5 pinnacle bosses introduced in the previous patch. Now we have the Uber version. So that is going to be the incarnation of Dread, Fear, and Neglect. You get access to these fights by farming the fragments off of T17 bosses. We can go look how much these are worth. I think some of them are going to be expensive and some are going to be very affordable. So let's just double check. So the Reverent fragment is 25 chaos per. Then we have the Traumatic fragment, which is 7 chaos per. And the Lonely fragment, which is 6 chaos per. So you need a total of 5 of each of these fragments to do the boss fight. So which 2 of these do I recommend you to do? It's going to come down to what build you're playing and also your ability as a player. If you're kind of a mid-tier player like me, I recommend staying away from Incarnation of Dread. This boss has a lot of immunity phases, a lot of mechanics, and there is a lot going on that you might not be able to deal with if you are still learning your way around the pinnacle boss fights. Alright, instead I would suggest doing Incarnation of Fear and Neglect. These bosses didn't seem to have any immunity phases. You could just have permanent uptime. You just have to make sure you don't die to some of the mechanics that happen as you fight the boss. Alright, so this is something I wanted to share you guys because it is a massive problem and I don't know when it's going to be fixed. It could just be on my end, but there is a mechanic going on right now that you cannot see because it hasn't rendered. And if you die, you run into the same issue where it will not render again. So these orbs over there actually have chain links that will apply some sort of degen effect on you. There it is. It just showed up. Okay? That link isn't always visible, but it is active. And if you walk into it like I just did, and you can't see it, you're probably going to end up dying. So we're going to load back into the fight, and you're going to see that these chains are probably going to be invisible when I spawn in. Alright, invisible chains. I have no idea where it is. I can't resolve the mechanic. My character's already half dead. Alright, but we got the kill anyways, so yeah. The new Uber Pinnacle bosses I'm not a big fan of. Maybe it's a PC issue, maybe it's a skill issue, I don't know. But until they get this fixed, if you can't fight these and get the kill yourself, I do recommend you to either skip it or buy a carry. Our next challenge is Bolstered Breachlords. This is another one of those challenges that has to do with the Keepers of the Flame League mechanic. For this, you need to have access to the Breachlord boss fight. You can do that by getting the Hive Brain Gland and using it alongside your map when you run it. So you can just put it in as a map fragment while you run your maps. Right, so that should spawn a Hive colony entrance in your map, and that is going to give you access to the Tull and Esh fight. So there's 4 mechanics for you to watch out for. That's going to be Boiling Blood, Breachlord Orb Explosions, Rolling Lightning Nova, and Tentacle Barrage. You only have to pick any 3 of these and not get hit by them before you kill the boss. So I'm going to show you some clips of each of these mechanics real quick. So first of all, we have Boiling Blood. This one is quite hard to avoid if you are a melee build. It that was Tull is going to slam her shield onto the ground, and it is going to create a little puddle. If you stand on that puddle, it'll be a degen effect, kind of like the Awakener's Desolation from Cirrus. Watch out for puddles of blood, and you will be able to get Boiling Blood complete. For the Breachlord Orb Explosions, you're going to be looking at it that was Esh, so that is the lightning person. She is going to charge and leave behind little orb explosions. Don't stand near them, don't stand on them, and you will get this one complete. It's pretty easy to watch out for. She's going to charge, she's going to leave a bunch of crap on the ground, just stay away from it, and you will get Breachlord Orb Explosions complete. Next is also it that was Esh. This is going to be Rolling Lightning Nova. This is reminiscent of the Esh Nova mechanic from the Breachstones we had prior. She is going to create a Lightning Nova, and it's going to expand outwards from the location she casted it. Okay, so the easiest way to avoid this is to make sure Esh is positioned on one side of the map, and when the Nova spawns, you're going to run all the way to the other side of the map, and at the edge of that circle is going to be your safe spot. Or you can try and weave through the explosions if you want to try and thread the needle. That is also another way for you to avoid the Lightning Nova. Then the last one is for it that was Tull, and that is avoid being hit by Tentacle Barrage. Okay, Tull is going to do some sort of voice call-out, and then you're going to see a flurry of tentacles out of her arm or shield. I can't remember which. Alright, this one is pretty easy to avoid. Maybe a little bit problematic if you are in melee range. Okay, so Bolstered Breachlords, actually one of the easier ones to complete. Just make sure you have enough DPS to kill the bosses in the last phase, because that is going to be the hardest one to avoid these mechanics in. The first couple phases, you should have no problem avoiding each of the mechanics. The last one is going to be everything all at once, and you're just going to have to DPS burst that boss down and try to do it before you get hit by any of the bad things. Up next, we have Juiced Jamboree. So this involves you completing any 6 of the following maps while they have at least 175% item quantity and 5 scarabs applied. Okay, so your list of options here is going to be any of the T17 maps or the T16.5 boss encounter maps. So the Courtyard of Wasting, Chambers of Impurity, and Theater of Lies. Right, we'll start with the easy ones first, and I guess that is going to be your T17. So what you're going to do is get your T17 map, you're going to chisel it, and then you're going to try and make sure you have at least 109% item quantity. Alright, more importantly, you need to make sure that you can actually run the modifiers on your map. In this case, I cannot, so I'm going to have to re-roll until I get a map modifier that I can run. Okay, this one's somewhat doable for me. Like I mentioned, you need at least 109% item quantity on the tooltip, because you want to be using an Atlas with full map effect modifier for this challenge. So if I go into show stats, I type in effect. You want to make sure you have all of the map effect modifier nodes allocated on your tree. So that should be 32% increase, and then you also should get some for having explicit modifiers in your maps and having chisels on your maps. So if all of that tracks, when I put this in, it should end up being more than 175%. We can test it out real quick. For your scarabs, I would recommend using any scarab of your choice, but you should also use the Scarab of Stability. Let me see if I have one of those. Okay, this is going to give you extra portals. This is going to be a hard map to run, so if you might die, if you might struggle with the boss, make sure to put the Scarab of Stability. Aside from that, just pick any 4 scarabs of your choice. In this case, we'll just take some domination scarabs, because why not? Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So all 5 scarab slots have been filled. Alright, we'll put in our T17 map, and then you want to make sure you click the 8% increased quantity of items found in this area. That is also going to add to your item quantity on the map, I think. So let's put this in, and let's see what the resulting IIQ is. Alright, now if you press tab and you open up your map overlay, you should see we got 176 increased quantity of items found in this area. So maybe a little bit higher than 109%. I think this one I just showed you was 110%. Alright, just be around that mark. Sometimes you're going to get a little extra quantity for the mods you have in your map. So I'm going to go kill the boss here real quick, and then I'll show you how to do the same thing for the Memory Tear T16.5 version, okay? Alright, so if you do what I just did for the other T17 maps, you'll get Abomination, Citadel, Sanctuary, and Ziggurat done. That is only 5 out of the 6 maps that you need, so we are forced to do one of the new T16.5 boss encounters. In this case, I happen to have the Courtyard of Wasting already set up on my map. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, guys, because these maps don't have as much item quantity as T17s typically do. So you're going to want to start by applying chisels to your map. But I do want to draw your attention to something. You can see here that the map already has 24% item quantity, and that's because I found a item quantity altar when I killed the previous boss in the previous map for the memory chain. So if you get lucky and you stumble across that item quantity altar, make sure you pick it. It's going to make this part of the challenge a lot easier. So once you have your item quantity on the map, you're going to put your chisels. Alright, so our white map has 44% item quantity, okay? Then we're going to Ulk Scour until we get that 110%, just like the T17s. So this one is 122%. We want to make sure we can run all the modifiers on the map. It looks good to me. And if you're having trouble reaching that item quantity, what you can do is include a Cartography Scarab of Risk onto your map. That's going to add 2 additional random modifiers. It is a little bit of a gamble though, because you might add a modifier that makes the map unplayable for your build. So just be very careful if that's how you decide to go about things. I'm going to need to get a couple of other scarabs before we can run this. So let me just get those domination scarabs again. Alright, and I already have Maven witnessed for this. So 128%, 5 scarabs. Make sure you have your 8% increased quantity of items found clicked, and then you can toss that into your map. Right, and if I open my map overlay, you'll see here that the item quantity in the area is 192%, which more than satisfies the requirement for this challenge. So I'll go kill the boss real quick, and then we should be done.
You left me there, Sana. Centuries alone in the ashes.
And there it is. That should be your 6 out of 6 juiced Jamboree complete. Next up, we have Oppressive Opponents. Now, this is going to have you fighting the Uber Pinnacle bosses in Path of Exile. This is going to be bosses like Cirrus, Uber Elder, Maven, Searing Exarch, Eater of Worlds, High Templar Venarius, and of course the Uber Shaper. Let's have a look at the fragments you need for each of these fights. So from left to right, we have the most expensive to the least expensive. So we have the Reality Fragment for Maven. That is going to be the most expensive ticket. Then we have Devouring Fragment for Uber Eater. That is going to be your second most expensive. Then we're going to have Decaying Fragment for, I think, Uber Shaper. This is going to be somewhere in the middle, same as the Blazing Fragment for Uber Exarch. And then your El Cheapo Fragment is going to be Uber Shaper, Uber Cortex, and Uber Cirrus. Some of these are cheap because the loot is kind of trash. Others are also cheap because the fight is really obnoxious and annoying to run. Cirrus. Either way you cut it, guys, which ones you want to run and which ones you want to skip is going to come down once again to your build as well as your skill expression as a player. Something like Uber Maven can be pretty tough. Something like Uber Cirrus can be incredibly annoying and frustrating. What would I recommend you to do? I think Uber Exarch is pretty free. Uber Shaper is also kind of jokes. Uber Elder, also pretty straightforward. And then Uber Cortex is probably the easiest of them all. So pick those four. So that's Synthesizing Fragment for Cortex, Blazing Fragment for Exarch, Decaying Fragment for Shaper, and the Cosmic Fragment for Elder, okay? So maybe try and stay away from Maven, Eater, and Cirrus unless you are very comfortable with these fights. And of course, if you have a build that is incapable of running these, you can always buy a carry instead. In fact, let me take a second right now to show you how to get a carry service for this fight. All right, so what you need to do is you need to go to the Path of Exile official website. There you're going to click on the forum button, click on index, and then you're going to scroll down until you get to the community section. Click expand and then go to communities, and you're going to see a list of forum posts by other players that are selling services. Most of these are going to be boss carry services. Take your pick, maybe read the comments and feedback, make sure that the person listing the service has a lot of vouchers. And then all you have to do is message them in-game. You have to pay them the fee, you have to provide them the ticket, and they will give you instructions on how to come along and participate in your boss kill carry. But whatever the case, get these fights done and you will have Oppressive Opponents complete. And last but certainly not least, we have Grueling Game Grinds. Pick any 4 of the following encounters and you have to finish it. So you can either reach level 100, you can defeat Argus in the end game labyrinth, so I believe that's Uber Lab. You have to kill him 100 times. You can beat 75 pinnacle bosses. You can do complete collective explicit modifiers of tier 14 or higher maps, 1,000 of those, so that's just basically running a lot of maps. You can complete collective explicit modifiers from invitations. This involves running Maven invitations, so these things over here. Or you can also run the Eldritch invitations. Let me just find them real quick. So the Polaric invitation, the Writhing invitation, Incandescent, and Screaming. All of these can be rolled to have modifiers on it. So let's go ahead and look here. Just take some Alchemy Orbs. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mods, and I guess if you really wanted to, you could exalt it, and that would contribute towards 6 out of these 100 explicit modifiers for invitations. Let's do a quick price check and see how much Polaric invitations are even going for. That way we get a little estimate on how much this might cost you to do. It says these are 1 chaos each, guys. So the invitations here, you can buy it from other players. Super cheap. Nobody wants them unless you're doing challenges. So buy them using asynchronous trade, and then roll them to have a lot of modifiers, and then run them. It shouldn't take you long to get this explicit modifiers from invitation, as long as your build has high DPS. And then you can also grow womb gifts that are item level 81 or higher. This should be super easy if you do the Keepers of the Flame League mechanic. So a lot of these are free. Run a lot of maps, run a lot of invitations, run the breach mechanic. The only thing you have to choose from is one of these 3 that is going to be a real pain in the butt. Reaching level 100 takes a long time. Defeating a lot of pinnacle bosses isn't for everyone, and Lab for Argus is probably the worst one that is on there. I really hate that. If you want to do that, you have to wait for a layout where there is no golden doors and where Argus is at the front of the labyrinth, okay? And that is it. That is Grueling Game Grinds, and that should be all 40 of your 40 challenges complete. And now that we're at the end of the video, one of the biggest questions I get is, what do you recommend skipping if you only want to do 36 out of 40 challenges for the armor set. I would recommend you skip Cruel challenges. It's a real RNG fest on finding the Remembered that can take you a lot of slash played for it to happen. I would skip Inconceivable Incarnations. Those Uber fights are not necessarily quite fun, and you will need a strong build to do it. In the same sense, you should also skip Oppressive Opponents. These are your Uber Pinnacle boss fights, right? You definitely need to invest a lot into your build, or be very good at the game to get these done in a timely manner. And last but not least, I would skip Grueling game grinds, because this is just one of the grindiest challenges on the list. Okay, if you are short on money and you have a lot of time, maybe you can consider skipping the expensive Extravagance instead, although I did show you how to do this for a relatively free using the Betrayal mechanic, right? So that is what I recommend you to skip if you are just doing 36 out of 40 for the armor set. And that brings us to the end of this video. I have no idea how long this is, guys. I've been working on this for several days now. So if you like seeing this kind of content, make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. But I do want to take this chance to say a big thank you to all of you guys that have been watching, and to all of you guys that have requested videos like this, or just shown support with nice comments along the way. Thank you. I hope you have a fantastic holiday season, no matter what game you're playing or whatever it is you decide to do. I will see you soon with some new videos. Bye!